Alright, today I will answer all your questions like a Zen master. How a real Zen master will answer. Generally I always answer only the socially polite way. Means what? Not saying what I want to say. Saying what you want to listen.
The first question is, you have said that there is no recourse to Guru Papam, that is a sin committed against the Guru. No one can rescue a disciple from this. However, you have also said that there is no such thing as a sin or a punya, and there is nothing right or wrong in the cosmic existence. How does one reconcile these two?
When I say that there is no papa or punya, it is a technique, understand? It is the ultimate truth revealed to you, given to you, to be used as a technique so that you can reach the same ultimate state. Please understand, when I say there is no papa or punya, there is no you and me, there is no I and you, there is no two persons. In that I state only there is no papa or punya. But as long as you feel you are there or somebody else is there, there is something called right or wrong. That's why your very question says, in the ultimate cosmic existence there is no papa or punya. Means if you reach that state, there is no papa or punya. But as long as the duality, as long as you feel anger, you feel, as Ramakrishna says beautifully, the sadhus in this type of Ardhva Rishikesh and Gangotri, they will go for Bandara. Bandara means for feast. They will chant before the food, they will chant. Some sadhus started chanting Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, means only the Brahman is truth, the world is lie, world is untruth. That fellow was arranged for a feast. Then he said, oh, is it so? Then why do you want to eat? Get out. Why do you want food? Then that sadhu added third line, Kaur Pore, after eating. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, after eating, not before eating. So, there is no sin, no merit, no punya, no papa when you reach the ultimate cosmic state, conscious state. I want you to reach that state, that is why I am revealing the ultimate secrets to you. But till you reach that state, as long as you are in the intermediate class, there is something called papa or punya. You have to be little more, little aware, you have to be little careful, you have to be little clear. But in the NSP, when I say that there is no papa or punya, I wanted you to reach that state immediately. I wanted you to reach that state immediately. I am creating a space in which you can reach that state within 2-3 days. At least have a glimpse of that state within 2-3 days. That is why I am telling all the ultimate truths in an unedited way. Unedited way. Unedited version of truth is given to you at the time of NSP. That is why I say there is no papa or punya in cosmic existence. But when I made the other statement, second statement, the Guru Papa, that statement is made at the time of dual consciousness. Means when you have not reached that state, naturally there is little some papa or punya. See, if you are disturbed Brahma, you can go to Vishnu. Vishnu will take care. If you are disturbed Vishnu, you can go to Shiva. Shiva will take care. If you are disturbed Shiva, you can go to Guru. Guru will take care. If you have done something against Guru's master's mission or Guru, you can't go to anybody. Nobody can take care. That's what it says. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat, Para Brahma. Means Guru is Brahma, Guru is Vishnu, Guru is Maheshwara. Why? Because Guru gives you new birth. He is Brahma. He gave birth to you. Guru takes care of you. He maintains, he sustains you. He is Vishnu. And Guru is the Rudra Shiva. Because the Guru has destroyed your past life. Guru has destroyed your past karmas. So he is the Vishnu, he is the Shiva. He is the person who is beyond all these three energy. That's the reason they say the sin committed against Guru is biggest sin and nobody can help you. So in the dual level there is Papa or Punya. In the Advaitic level there is no Papa, no Punya. In NSB, when I say that statement, I want you to realize that I am passionate that you get at least one glimpse of Satori in NSB. That is why I tell all the ultimate truth. I break the whole part. I break open all the ultimate secrets. But unless you experience the Satori, you should not apply all those things in your life. Without experiencing Satori, you cannot go around and kill people and say no sin, no merit. You can't do that. When a person really experiences Satori, he can never kill anybody, he can never disturb anybody. So that when I say that there is no Papa or Punya, that word is given to you as a technique to reach the enlightenment, not as a statement of fact, but as a statement of truth. Statement of fact is different, statement of truth is different. Statement of fact is Vyavakarika, in which state you are staying now. Statement of truth is in which state you are now. The state in which you are staying, the state in which you are. Anything related to the state in which you are is truth. Anything related to the state in which you are staying is fact. So when I say the word, there is no Papa or Punya, that statement is related to the state in which you are, means the enlightenment. But when I say that Guru Papa is the host Papa, this statement should be understood in the state in which you are staying.
What about disciples who leave you? Why do they leave? Do they still have your grace?
To tell you honestly, nobody can leave me. They may think that they have left me. You should know the story. Once this Akbar, that fellow became very egoistic. And he started claiming himself as God. That's why he created a religion, which has become a failure. Without getting enlightened, this fellow started a religion. Birbal is a great intelligent spiritual guy. He wants to somehow tell Akbar he is not so great as he thinks. So one day Birbal goes and stands in front of Akbar. Oh Lord, King, you are some way, you are greater than God. You can do some things which even God cannot do. Akbar asks, now you got real intelligence. Come out, come on. Tell me what is the great thing. Birbal says, if you are angry with somebody, you can throw him out of your kingdom, but God cannot. If you are angry with somebody, you can throw him out of your kingdom, but God cannot. So nobody can leave me. That's the first thing. Only two kinds of disciples. People who are living with me. Second is people who think that they left me, not that they left me. That's something. So this very question, very answer says, they will always have my blessing. My love and my blessing, they will be always with them. But why they leave, you should ask them. Or why they think that they are left, you should ask them. That I don't know. Next.
When a disciple is enlightened, he becomes as aware as of his inner divinity as the Guru. Does then the Guru-Sishya relationship stop at this point?
Only then Guru-Sishya relationship starts. Till then the disciple will be only torturing the Guru. Only then Guru-Sishya relationship starts. Till then these fellows will be torturing themselves and torturing Guru. They will not. Only when a disciple becomes enlightened, real relationship starts. Till then, no relationship exists. Till then it is only oscillating this side to that side. I was telling the last Usman Sarna that even if they stare on me, they may be thinking of only leaving. Or if they are, if they are up little away from me, they will think that they are left. But from my idea, nobody can leave. See, don't think my boundary is only some 25 acre in Biddi. Whole world is mine. And wherever they are my people only. Just because they remove their mala, it is not that they are not my disciples. Just because they don't do Mahamantra, it is not that they are not my disciples. It is, I always feel connected to them. If they feel connected to me or not, is up to them. But I tell you honestly one thing, only when a person becomes enlightened, he will really feel connected to me. Till then it will be only off and on. As long as I will do as they want, I will do the things as they want, they will be very happy. I am their guru, everything will be okay. But the moment I do something on my own, then all my gurudom will go away. That's what, as long as I do their homework, then I am master. Once I start doing my own things, then I am not master. This is the way people think. So, a real guru-disciple relationship starts only when a person becomes enlightened. And one more thing, people always think that if I become enlightened, will I start my own mission? Don't bother. If you become enlightened, only then you will do my mission. Till then you will be doing your own mission only. Till you become enlightened, you will be doing your own mission. Only when you become enlightened, you will do my mission. What I want to do. Only then out of gratitude you will be attached to me. Till then whatever you are doing will be only your mission. It will not be my mission. So don't bother, first get enlightened. Okay.
Is enlightenment possible for every human being? Is it more likely for the rich or is it more likely for the poor?
It is more likely for idiots. It means what? For every human being. Next.
I do not understand the significance of this Guru-Sishya relationship. I know that you are my master, my Guru, but I do not know what I mean to you or how I should be with you.
If you don't know, better relax. You will also be happy, I will also be happy. If you know, only then you will start creating all troubles. Better, when time comes you will know. Next.
Please give us your insights on tamas and unconsciousness. Are they suggestions to penetrate unconscious layers?
Please give suggestions, insights on tamas.
Suggestions to penetrate unconscious layers.
No. Your question. Please give your insights on
Tamas and unconsciousness.
tamas and unconsciousness, and then
Can you provide suggestions to
can you provide suggestions to
penetrate
penetrate the unconscious layer? First thing, whatever happens inside your system without your knowledge, without your direct awareness, without your control, is what we call unconsciousness. Tamas means not only letting the unconscious, not even willing to change the unconsciousness is tamas. Unconsciousness is the process which is happening inside you without your knowledge. Tamas means not even having the interest to change the unconsciousness. Can you provide some?
Can you provide suggestions to penetrate unconscious layers?
The next question is, can you provide some suggestions to penetrate unconscious layer? Before going to sleep, if you do Shakti Dharana, and you will penetrate the unconscious and clear it. The moment you come out of unconscious, within 21 minutes, if you start doing, the moment you get up, the moment you become aware, immediately start doing Anandagandha. Then you will break the unconscious layer. One thing understand, Usually the moment you become aware of your body, to get up and sit or come out of the bed, you take at least half an hour. You should not do that. The moment you become aware of the body, start doing Anandagandha meditation. You can come out of the bed even after 2-3 hours, no problem. But the moment you become aware of the body, do Anandagandha meditation. These two are the best way to break the unconscious layer.
How deep can one visualize? What are the impediments to deeper visualization?
If you visualize something, immediately that thing should be there in your hand, then your visualization is perfect. When you can materialize, only then your visualization is perfect. Till then your visualization is not complete. What is the impediment to visualization? Not believing the power of visualization is the only impediment to visualization. Otherwise, you will never miss the visualization, because it is such a high power and energy. Either you don't trust or believe the power of visualization. That is the only impediment to go deeper into the visualization. For example, if you visualize a golden ring, it should be there in your hand, then your visualization capacity has really reached its full peak. If that is not happening, you have not completely explored the visualization potentiality. You have to continue. Only impediment for visualization is you not believing your visualization capacity, or not trusting that it can do miracles to yourself, is the only reason why you don't use your complete visualization capacity. Thank you. Next.
What are the blocks for total awareness?
There is no black except believing that you have some blacks. For the total awareness, there is no other black. Because you are continuously, how many times I tell there is no black, you don't believe. Because you again and again believe there is some black. I also technically sometimes give you some word and try to bring you out of that black. All this idea of engram, all these things are just nonsense. Actually they are not there. Because you don't believe that there is no black, I have to give you some technical idea. Yes, you have black, and do some nonsense to remove the black. Ultimately, your bondage and sadhana to liberate yourself, both are just bullshit. So, there is no sadhana, no bondage. It is just foolishness, because again and again you strongly believe that you are bound. You are bandha. I also have to sometimes acknowledge, yes, you are bandha, you are in bondage, come do this, you will be liberated. But it is not true. Your faith that you have blocks is the only block. Otherwise, no other block.